Lagrange's point.
Lagrange point 2.
It's high speed. Sorry. It's about the between the sun and earth.
It is between sun and earth. Okay.
But it's far from 1.5 kilometers from earth.
Sorry?
From the earth, behind that it's 1.5 million.
Okay. It is away from 1.5 kilometers away from earth.
Yes.
Okay. And
in between sun and earth. Any two celestial bodies, it is away from earth.
Okay. So the summary is why L2? What is so special about L2? See, why will I place a satellite, a telescope as called as James Webb in L2? Why not in other places?
So L2 is such a point where the three bodies, that is the sun, earth, as well as the telescope, would rotate around each other, would take revolutions around each other's orbit, but yet they would be in the same collinear patterns.
Okay, they will maintain the same distance. Everything appears the
Yes,
same, but everybody is revolving.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So that is such a point. And also L5 and L4 are the points which are more stable. We could have placed it over there, but it is these points have got asteroids a lot of asteroids.
The hazard is higher in L4 and L5.
Yes, though it assures stability, it is hazardous. Therefore, we have selected L2. Sir.
Any other reason? That's it.
So L2 is at the back of the Earth. Like if this is sun, this is Earth. Here lies L2. So to look at this will give this will give adequate access to solar energy, and it will enable it can stay very in a stable position. It does not require much fuel, and it can look into deep.
The ultimate point is to look into the space, right? If sun is here, if my back is to the sun, I can look into the space much more clearly without any distortions. Okay, and the second simplest objective is the equipment on James Webb telescope won't melt away, or they won't get deteriorated in the long run because of the sun's direct exposure.
Yes.
So there is a tolerance limit even for that telescope, right? It cannot 24/7 look at the sun and withstand it. So that is one of the reasons. So there are multiple reasons, but we don't have to do PhD, but knowing a simple difference between L2, L4, L1, these things makes more sense. And if I have to look into the sun, I think L1 is the most reasonable point.
Yes, sir, because it is on collinear.
Is L1 pretty decent?
No, sir, it is an metastable point. It is an unstable point.
Okay. Aditya L1? Mission Aditya. I think Mission Aditya is about L1, right? Not aware? Okay.
Yes, sir. It is about L1, but for 23 days, in the whole year, there won't be stability there. So it has to move accordingly to balance out the forces.
Okay. So just basic idea about Mission Aditya will help. Okay. Any other homework?
OLED, LED.
OLED, LED. Yes, Kirtana.
The LED requires black light
Mm-hmm.
to work. OLED, it does not require black light to work. In itself, it will has its own light to work. Which I know.
That is not black light, so that is backlight.
Backlight, yeah, not backlight.
Okay, I was like, okay,
No,
black.
backlight.
Where is black light coming from? Yes, Uma, you didn't do homework. I know.
I did about
I know.
tax and
No, I know. About
GI tax and
GI tax and?
new.
So you'll tell me all the 300 plus GI tax products, no? No. Then you did homework, no? Okay. Difference between LED and OLED.
Self-illumination.
Which one?
OLED.
Okay.
But LED is not, doesn't work on self-illumination.
Mm.
And OLED has got wider viewing angles.
Mm-hmm.
So, sir, it basically uses organic materials for illumination. That is
O in OLED stands for
organic.
organic LEDs.
But it offers less brightness than LED.
OLED.
Yes, sir.
Less power
With
and,
same resolution and with
But OLEDs are created more or less for viewing experience.
yes.
So they are created for your screens.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are more efficient than LEDs.
Okay. They also improve your pixel density. No?
Yes, sir. They
OLEDs.
they do.
Okay. Last, GI tax. GI tax derives their power from TRIPS agreement. Is there any act in India for GI tax?
Yes, sir. 1999.
1999. What act?
Geographical indication of goods.
Geographical Indication Act 1999 empowers Indian government to give GI tax. Any latest GI tax? Latest as in 2022 or 21.
So J&K's mushrooms got GI tag recently. I mean, I don't know how.
Okay. So from October to May 2022, any GI tags are automatically important. Basic understanding will be more than enough. Okay. See, these things are very easily skipped, but we need to remember bioremediation. We have discussed about bioremediation. We cannot have mountains of garbage in the country. We need to have better waste management practice. Solid waste management practices have to be better. Okay. So you can imagine a garbage patch burning for 9 hours continuously, and JCBs are standing on it as if it's a a geographical part, right? It's human created garbage patch. It's a mountain of garbage. Okay. So then again UPSC might go the next step and ask you questions like what will happen when this is burnt. Okay, what kind of chemical gases? Answer D, all. Think of every kind of dangerous gas that can be released. It will be released more or less when you burn garbage. Who will know what was thrown into the garbage, right? E-waste, every kind of waste will be there. All kind of gases will be there. Okay. Anything useful in editorial?
BIMSTEC, JCPOA.
What happened to the highlights? I did highlight, I think. It's not working. It's working. A sub-regional grouping that must get back on course. So basically, who are the members of BIMSTEC? Who are not the members of SARC? I mean, overlapping wise, BIMSTEC and SARC. Okay. Who are not there in SARC, but they are there in BIMSTEC? UAE. In SARC. In BIMSTEC, you say UAE. Bay of Bengal. Are we dragging Bay of Bengal to UAE or are we dragging UAE to Bay of Bengal? Which one is easier? False source. She's looking at you. Srinivas, BIMSTEC లో ఉన్నవి సార్క్ లో లేని కంట్రీస్ ఏమున్నాయి? సార్క్ లో ఉన్నవి బిమ్స్టెక్ లో లేని కంట్రీస్ ఏమున్నాయి? దేంట్లో ఉంది, దేంట్లో లేదు? బిమ్స్టెక్ లో ఉంది, సార్క్ లో లేదు. ఉమా, నో ఐడియా. సార్క్ కంట్రీస్, సౌత్ ఏషియన్ అసోసియేషన్ ఫర్ రీజనల్ కోఆపరేషన్. బిమ్స్టెక్, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical Economic Corporation. Now countries. Is Thailand a part of BIMSTEC?
Yes, sir.
Indonesia?
No,
Indonesia is not there. Maldives
no, sir.
is not a part. Okay. Maldives is a part of SARC.
I'm exactly, I don't remember SARC countries right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what should we do about it? We should at least try to remember what are BIMSTEC countries. Okay. So this is from our official BIMSTEC website. So Sri Lanka, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and Thailand are part of Bay of Bengal initiative. BIMSTEC countries. So if you have to guess SARC countries, which one will you exclude?
South Asian.
Sri Lanka will exclude from SARC. Mm, mm, mm. Nepal and Bhutan you will exclude. They are not worthy.
Thailand.
We can exclude Thailand. Myanmar?
No, sir, it will still fall into South Asia.
Mhm. So overlapping countries. Tomorrow, Srinivas will tell us. Okay. So what is the core essence? The core essence of this particular article is BIMSTEC should be more proactive. It should invest in sustainable kind of ecosystems for all reasons. Simply, fishing can be one thing. Blue economy, where money is involved, where a huge amount of people are dependent on ocean resources. So the core theme is blue economy. When we talk about blue economy, we have to talk about everything in a sustainable, organized fashion. And for that, BIMSTEC countries should work along with other international organizations. As simple as that, no complications whatsoever. But as far as I remember, when BIMSTEC was created in 1997, after that, till the Uri issue or Balakot issue with Pakistan, nobody was actually bothered to meet in BIMSTEC. As I mean, I don't remember, but there were some years of gaps. Like for 10 years or so, there was no BIMSTEC meeting at all. BIMSTEC was created, but it was orphaned. Okay. Now that we don't want Pakistan to be involved, but we want all our neighbors to have a negotiation forum, we promoted BIMSTEC. So that is why BIMSTEC is being highlighted. So BIMSTEC is being used by India more as a political tool rather than as a way for promoting the sustainability in Bay of Bengal region. But things might change because Pakistan is still not in talking terms to India. So we might continue the focus on BIMSTEC. So that can be one positive thing. Then whatever he's saying, that environmental protection, blue economy, sustainability, and all those things, we need more money, more proactiveness. Okay. So that much we can remember. For films, I don't think anything is useful. But for mains, you can use all these points even if you don't remember anything. Yes, we will come to that. Static, right? If you think about it, global environmental facilities, anyhow, static part. So what can be the questions on GEF, Umang? Global environmental facility. Was it created? Any idea? So what is GEF normally? Global environmental facility. What does it do?
It funds many organizations.
So it is a funding mechanism. It's a tool to fund green projects or green
Initiatives.
agreements or initiatives. Okay. So the prelims question can be, what are the agreements that are funded through GEF? Okay. There are 5 mechanisms. You have to remember them: CBD, UNFCCC, Stockholm, UNCCD, and Minamata Convention on Mercury. Minamata, all of you know, right? Minamata is in?
Japan.
It is related to Mercury deaths. Deaths because of Mercury. I think there is a recent Netflix show on the same name. I don't remember. I think I have seen some ad or something. Okay, so all of you know Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD. Yes. Which of is any of the 5 created under 1992 Rio? GF is created in Rio. Any other apart from GF?
So UNCCD.
Even CCD is created in Rio.
Not CCD.
CCC is created in Rio.
Yes, sir.
Let me test your static knowledge. Any of these 5 agreements or 5 conventions are binding?
None of them are binding.
Sure. What is the target of UNCCD that Indian government has promised? Prime Minister Modi promised certain amount of thing to be not desertified. Will combat desertification. This many hectares. Never heard?
Somewhere around 2018.
It is multiple times in the news, right? Every time you see about desertification, that particular data will be brought out. That India has promised, to bring back or protect this many hectares from desertification. At least, does it rhyme? Does it sound familiar? Yes. No? Uma? Srinivas?
Maybe he might have promised 75 million hectares for Saudi Congo.
75 for 75. 26 million hectares. So 26 million hectares under even CCD. Okay. So one more homework, static part, 1992 Rio Declaration. Which 3 conventions are more or less coming out of Rio? Only 3. Did they? Yes or no? Okay. Agenda 21. They are also called as Sustainable Development Goals. I think not.
Agenda 21 is, I guess, related to the developed countries needs to.
Are you talking about IG targets?
No, sir, not that.
No? Okay. Yes. All right. So we are discussing global environmental facility because of this particular project. See again, as someone who evaluates mains answers, I can tell you all this is absolutely trash. We don't remember any of this stuff we read in the newspaper. In the long run, this article will become a footnote in your BIMSTEC article that BIMSTEC countries should come closer to work on blue economy. That is humanly not possible to remember, large marine ecosystem, small marine ecosystem. Who will remember all such details? Unless you made a notes and try to put it on a regular basis, it is not going to work out. The maximum takeaway you'll remember in this article is blue economy and how BIMSTEC countries should work together. And that's a footnote in your entire answer. If you are writing 10 points on BIMSTEC, it will be just a single valuation point. Okay. And some data is useful. For example, he says we have a huge illegal, unreported and unregulated zones, and Bay of Bengal is one of the hot spots in Asia Pacific. Okay, so that means a lot of illegal fishing is happening. It will affect the livelihood of Indians fishermen. If you over exploit the resources, what will happen? It will become a resource curse, right? So all the people who are dependent on the coastal areas or the livelihood because of the fisheries will be affected. So governments can work in those directions. So you can interlink with multiple topics, but per se directly takeaways will be always less.
So the 3 things that came into action after Agenda 21, CBD and UNFFC, sir. In that Agenda 21 and CBD were binding, and UNFFC is not binding. CBD.
Conference on biodiversity. Convention on biodiversity. So no issues, just tomorrow let me know. No hurry, right? Learning is more important rather than getting confused. I'm going to skip the JCPOA article. Let them conclude something. From last 6 years, I'm discussing that. I have no interest in continuing the same because everybody knows that USA is trying to look for alternative energy sources, and Iran is a good source which will at least reduce the stress on international oil market. So Iran can be a good alternative to Russia, but to pacify with to make peace with to make peace with Iran, there are a lot of complications. Okay, too many players involved. And the only science and tech question that is more logical is, as I told you, what is enriched uranium? Yes or no? What is a weapons grade uranium, or when is it called as a enriched uranium? Where do we draw that line?
238 is more
Hmm.
than enriched.
Enriched uranium, okay. Only that much?
The question in previous years
Hmm.
was like IAEA keeps check on
Huh.
our
Hmm.
nuclear.
Hmm.
That was the reason
Hmm.
we imported from something.
Mhm.
All that.
And there is a separation of civil nuclear facility and no, there is no separation.
There is separation.
Okay. Yes. Right. So basics. No need to worry. A contributor, not consumer. I don't know who in the right mind or who is educated enough had a doubt that what Atmanirbharta is all about. 2 years ago, there was a Yojana article which clearly or clarified that Atmanirbharta is about self-reliance. It's not protectionism. It's not isolation. So why a former cabinet minister under Congress has to write a bhajan article for BJP is entirely, read between the lines. Okay. She used to be a Ministry of Environmental and Forest, and going by apocryphal stories, that means unverified stories, she used to have something called as Jayanti tax. Okay, so you pay Jayanti tax, and ME, MOEF, and CC will give you certain
licenses
or whatever. Again, this is apocryphal. For the record, I am not sure. I just don't want to spread disinformation, misinformation, fake news. Okay, you can understand, right? I think this was targeted towards Tamil Nadu government. Okay, so there is a lot of things, but we will take away two things. One is Rabindranath Tagore's quote. Okay, narrow domestic walls. It is not possible to remain behind the narrow domestic walls. The pandemic has shown us that whether it is stressed economy or human rights. Okay, so domestic walls, there should not be any domestic walls. That is a major takeaway, right? As long as we are divided among ourselves, there will always be a problem. That will be called as fault lines. And the second clear-cut understanding is Atmanirbharta is more about identifying those areas where we can be self-sufficient. Okay. For example, defense is a wonderful place. Government has also added something called as positive list in the defense or negative list in the defense. That means we cannot import certain goods. So every goods have to be sourced from local produce only. Even in e-commerce websites, we have made modification like made in what? The
country of origin.
Country of origin has to be placed. All these are to promote make in India, vocal for local, local for global, promoting the local products. So that's the only takeaway from this particular article. And India should continue our self-reliance and promote our ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We should say Atmanirbharta, but we should always be for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That is what India is all about. The best example is Sri Lanka. Okay, in the dire problem that Sri Lanka is facing, Indian government is helping Sri Lanka fantastically. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We are not milking the opportunity to to pull Sri Lanka into our fold or anything like the Chinese. We are there for on principle basis. Like we are trying to promote the peace and stability in the region with whatever limited capacity India have. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Okay. This article is like a revision of corals. All of zooxanthellae, symbiotic relationships, static revision. What are the 6 relations? Do you remember? Plus, minus, plus. 0, 0, 0 plus. No?
Yes.
Something like that. Okay. Yes, all of you remember. Communalism. Commensalism.
+0.
+0. What will happen in commensalism?
So one will be profited and there will be no
Impact on the other. Example?
So a sparrow on buffalo
Bird and a buffalo. Okay.
eating the bugs. So it's +0.
Okay. What is the relation between bug and the buffalo? Is the commensalism is bird and the buffalo. I'm asking bug, the insects and the buffalo. Sure. It's not. Is it not parasitism?
It's not
Because,
affecting the buffalo.
Buffalo is not losing anything.
So, but if the bug is drinking the blood of the buffalo, then it
But then that's
Okay, so we have to check UPSC whether it's a blood drinking bug or not. Okay. So what are the basic questions like what are the reasons for
Coral bleaching.
coral bleaching, right? Increasing in salinity. Is it a reason?
increasing its action.
Is salinity a player in deciding whether corals will be healthy or not?
so they cannot survive in a pure fresh water.
Mhm.
They do need some
The
salinity.
brackish water
Hmm.
and if salinity increases, it will increase the carbonate water and
Mhm.
release.
So you are saying that corals can survive in brackish waters.
It's not intense saline water, not fresh water.
There should be a moderate range. Okay. El Nino.
Yes.
El Nino will affect coral bleaching.
It raises the temperature.
Sorry?
It raises the temperature.
It raises the temperature. So El Nino might also affect the corals. Okay. Then anthropogenic activities, oil spills. There can be a lot of other factors. So the core theme of this article, apart from the static part, is corals now are being bleached even in La Nina conditions, especially the Great Australian Barrier Reef. See, the El Nino La Nina applies very nicely to the Australian region, right? So El Nino is more about warm water in Pacific Ocean. So if coral bleaching is happening, it is understandable. But La Nina creates a kind of moderate, cold kind of environment in Australian area. Even then, coral bleaching is happening. That is a major crux of this entire article. The rest of the things you must have read in Shankar anyhow, right? So that's a major takeaway. So the overall planet is getting warmer. So La Nina, El Nino, this will only accelerate the coral bleachings. And that is a huge biodiversity loss for the planet. The world should come together and start protecting Arctic and corals. If they are gone forever. There is no coming back. They are called as tipping points. Once it is tipped beyond a particular point, it cannot come back. There is no, even Amazon forest is also in the same criteria. Western Ghats, Amazon forest, Great Pacific reefs, or Arctic ice. These are all very, very special. Once they're gone, it's gone. Okay. Yes. So, and he brings in the economic aspect of the coral reef system, right? It contributes a huge amount of money. And again, see, we cannot actually measure anything in monetary terms. So what is the service done by these small corals to the overall planet? We don't know until we lose them. As the data shows, the small honeybee contributes to around 500 billion to the planet. 500 billion. Okay. Because they are natural pollinators. If the honeybees are gone, then we have to spend $500 billion only to pollinate. And you all know that humans are very, very inefficient. So we cannot do what nature is doing for us freely. So is there any concept that measures that money? A Indian state has introduced this particular concept. okay, which measures not only what has been saved but what is lost. No idea, never heard.
Heard some.
Okay, so what is it?
It's some monetizing something more.
Something in those lines. What is it? So what will you do? When will you tell me? Come on, very nice. Microplastics in human blood. Okay, so as I said, plastic or single-use plastic or types of plastic or recycledness of the plastic is very, very important for UPSC prelims. PET is the most used plastic in the world, yes, and least recycled also. So recently scientists have conducted a survey. So this article goes in depth. It says 22% were surveyed, and out of them 17 people have microplastics in the blood, which is a good thing.
Plastics here. So the same phenomenon also takes place among the fishes in the water. So they named it a different kind of ecosystem called plastisphere, where the fishes eats the plastic and survive.
But again, we don't know the impact of plastic on all of us, right? So right now it is not doing any harm, but maybe they will start blocking the arteries. Maybe they might start damaging the brain. Only time will tell. Okay, so microplastic is now in probably human blood. As all of you know, microplastic, the US official definition is less than 5 mm. So people are able to find a lot of microplastics. And the article concludes by saying oral administration of microplastics in rats led to accumulation of these in liver, kidney, and gut. Okay, in the long run, probably people's kidneys, livers might be damaged very quickly thanks to microplastic. Plus PM 2.5. Yes, from the lungs point of view, we will take in PM 2.5. From plastics point of view, we will have plastic in the blood. Combinedly, what will happen?
Pulmonologists will be very happy.
Planet will soon revive itself very happily.
The microbeads were
Yes, what are the sources of microplastics, or what are microbeads you hear in the news? That was the question. Microbeads. So you can find them in everything, right? From detergents to cosmetics. Everything we use have microbeads. So microplastic is not only, see, if I throw this bottle into ocean first after a particular amount of time, right? So this is a bottle. What will happen because of the salinity, acidity, and all those things? The plastic will be broken into small pieces. Then it will break down into even further small stuff. Then your bioaccumulation, magnification, all these things will happen. Right. This is one more interesting article, but from mains perspective, the Startup India initiative. Yes, I don't see any prelims questions from this particular thought line of thought, but the Startup India initiative, he argues, very good for mains perspective. Women and marginalized sections of the society are not active participants in the startups. Okay, they are there, but not actively in that much amount of numbers. Okay, but it clearly shows that startup ecosystem has penetrated into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 cities of the country. So people are getting used to this startup stuff. Government has done good steps by starting this initiative. Thanks to at least this, people are now able to go for their own startups. But there is a saturation for startups. That means not every MSMEs or startups are converting into something big, and they are not even hiring properly. And especially when it comes to marginal section startups, okay, they are not employing a good number of people. So all these are limitations. And women are also not actively participating in startup. A occasional successful startup led by women here, there, okay, cannot be a template. It is just a exception rather than a norm. So that is a major takeaway. And other major takeaway is few states and few cities are capturing all the
Regional disparity.
venture capital or funding mechanism for the startups. That means, for example, Mumbai, Delhi, and I think Bengaluru. These occupy 93% of Mumbai, Bengaluru, and Delhi occupy 93% of the entire funding. Okay, and few states have maximum number of startups. Okay, this promotes regional inequalities. And as all of you know, in a service sector or in a startup world, the early bird gets all the advantage. It becomes very difficult for you to create a successful alternative. Okay, take Flipkart or Amazon as an example. Apart from these two things, you don't hear many e-commerce sites for as an alternative. If you take furniture stuff, Urban Ladder or Pepperfry, these are early birds. Once they are settled, they will capture the market very nicely. Google Maps do not have an alternative. Uber and Ola, right? I think probably the only breakthrough startup I have heard in recent times is Zepto, right? Even after having all these grocery stores, it still made a good amount of name for itself. But now everybody is copying Zepto. So we'll have to see how it goes. Q-commerce being captured by Zepto. Again, it came through with a breakthrough idea, right? And it is not scalable. You cannot do it in tier 1, tier 2 cities. Logistics need to have such kind of rotation for maintaining a warehouse every 3 kilometers. So there are some problems. And they even want to argue that a large number of startups are created because there is no good amount of employment in formal sector. So government should incentivize SC, ST, and women entrepreneurs under startup initiatives. Okay. As again, as I said, it's more about mains rather than for your films perspective.
So these are more social phenomena, right? Like the startup policymakers have hardly has anything to do with this, because getting women and marginalized sections into business is something woman comes automatically, patriarchy comes in.
Again, there are, say for example, Nayaka is a good example for a startup, right? But again, it encourages stereotyping women products.
No, sir. What I'm saying is this. He's talking about women and marginalized sections. So startup initiatives, DPIIT, these people have least to bother about the social phenomena. What stops women from doing all this stuff is these are social phenomena, and how startup policy makers are.
You give extra incentive. For example, within the T Hub, for example, Telangana have this T Hub, right? Within T Hub, you encourage people from diverse. Goals will always be appreciated by anyone. Apart from that, you give an extra incentive for them to run a startup. And startups are not that easy, right?
Yes, sir.
Especially in today's market, everybody is a startup founder. If you open Twitter, all you find is CEO of what? His own startup. Yes, the office room will be of that size. Yes. So
Which one? Acha.
But again, it's purely general, right? Because according to facts, government of India has nothing to do with controlling the oil prices. Okay. Right. So there will be a demand now, for concretizing on whom to be included under SC/ST list and how they should be doing that. We need to update our existing what?
Census.
No, not census, criteria. If a particular tribe has to be included under the scheduled tribe list, there should be a proper criteria like socio-economic condition, backwardness. Then you comes your empirical data. Okay. Then your social justice article, right? Transgenders should be given equal opportunity in state public service commissions. So that is something for
marginalized sections.
social justice article. Zojila Tunnel, all of you know. You have a basic idea of Zojila Tunnel. It is near Srinagar and it connects Srinagar and Leh. Sure. Is it a all-weather tunnel? What is so special about Zojila Pass?
Reduce travel time.
It reduces travel time. Okay.
And it's all weather.
Mm-hmm.
And strategically important tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
This is what makes it special.
Apart from that, I mean, if this tunnel is not there, what will happen?
Like the mobilization of one is very difficult because there will be snow for almost 4-5 months. So this tunnel provides
An all-weather connectivity to the remotely connected areas of the country. Okay. Zojila Pass. Any other specialty? No. Okay. Don't worry. No major prelims questions are there in that particular area. And the last one is this one. NPS are increasing. Okay. So around 5,200 firms have declared as NPS, non-performing assets. So what happens to them?
SARFAESI or IBC.
SARFAESI Act or IPC. Normally IPC should be the best way forward. If NPS increase, what is the action that RBI can take in a bank? On a bank?
PCA. PCA.
Prompt corrective action. It can stop.
Will the bank, I mean, can RBI take PCA or apply PCA on banks?
Yes, sir, it can.
PCA is applicable even on foreign banks? Only private banks or public banks?
Sir, all commercial banks
Scheduled
come,
All scheduled commercial banks come under,
even non-scheduled.
non-scheduled also come under prompt corrective action.
Yes.
Do NBFCs come under PCA?
Recently, they have come under PCA. Not that is called MCA. Some monitoring. The terminology is different, but more or less it is the same one.
NBFCs.
Yes, sir.
NBFCs are under PCA.
Yes.
Okay. What is PCA?
The RBI would ask the respective bank to keep some money aside as capital aside.
I think you are confusing.
So basically, they set up a limit regarding the transaction. It has certain.
There are
limits.
layers within the PCA. Depending on the layers of NPS, bank will take punitive actions against you. For example, not allowing you to give new loans,
Not allowed
limiting
to
your
open the
banking
branch.
transactions,
Branches.
expansion of the branches. So that is prompt corrective action.
1 week, just 1 week back, on Paytm Payments Bank, there was PCA.
Because it was giving.
It was giving loans. Actually, it is not supposed to give loans, but it is using that banner and saying other aggregator is authorizing. We are just, it's like a co-lending model. They're using some kind of this.
What were you saying? Keeping money aside. Keeping money aside comes under what? CRR, SLR.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That is by default there.
Risk-weighted assets is Basel norms.
Yes, sir. There is a process called provisioning of loan. When the bank start tripping out, then the RBI would ask them to like, okay, the same thing, sir. You cannot lend more money. That is, you have to save more money.
So it also comes under PCA, right?
Yes, sir. And under the prompt corrective actions, there would be norms for the managers and
Again, depending on the level of NPA, right? L1, L2, L3. So everybody will be involved here till the board of directors. So everybody can be involved under prompt corrective action. So I think that if a question comes, it should come on NBFC and the measures taken by RBA.
Yes, sir.
Because NBFC is also having a lot of non-performing
Assets.
So why, how, what is the criteria? That kind of questions are more important. All NBFCs are under the protocol. Are all NBFCs under the protocol? Sure.
Yes, sir.
Confirm once and tell me whether all NBFCs are under that accountability mechanism under RBI. Yes or no?
Especially this workbook, sir, it is not updated with regard to this RBI's new decision of including NBFCs. Still, the answers in this workbook read that NBFCs are out of prompt corrective action framework. But it is actually that recently.
So my question is all.
I think yes, sir, but they did not specify any criteria as such.
I think they have cross conformance.
deposit taking and use.
The money.
Capitalize market cap.
Is there any market cap for you to be involved under this particular thing?
It takes me to DSIPs and 2% of 500 crore. So other than that, I don't remember the criteria.
No problem. Tomorrow tell me. Okay. So I hope this churning exercise is helping you. Yes. So you have to churn more. I think still some areas in environment, the conventions, all these things have to be on your fingertips.
So, but trivial data is.
No matter how many times we read, we forget them. But again, it's our job to keep testing. Every time you see CPD, one new point will be added. If there are 10 points to be remembered on Rio, okay. For 10th time when I ask that question, every time you learn something new, right? So Rio, 1992, what happened in Rio? Then what are the conventions that came out of Rio? Next is which are binding, which are legally not binding, which are voluntarily, is India part, then desertification, then what is India's stand. Like this, there is always scope to learn more. So you need not learn everything in day one, right? You need to have that thought process to remember all these things. And any UPSC aspirant worth his salt should remember it. It's not like we have a option to compete with the best. We have to be the best, right? In the interview, if they ask you all these things, you cannot say, sir, triviality, I forgot. Yes, we have to keep struggling till you get into the service. These are your best friends. Who? UNCCC, CPD, Rio. Everybody is your best friend. सबका नाम याद रखना है. No other choice. And people do remember it. At least when they see the option, they will definitely eliminate it. And you will be surprised on how people remember all these things in a timeline in mains answer sheet. Someone will draw a line and they say timeline. These conventions came after that, and they'll add some designs in the bracket also, like binding, non-binding. So that means you need to have a templated answer in the paper. Okay. So such answers will get you 5.5. If you write in paragraphs, you will get only 3. So even in mains, you have a very strong competition from similar aspirants. So in every way, you have to be ready. Okay. Right.
So from the ethics perspective, what is your view on website hitting dogs?
He shouldn't have. This, his complaint was legitimate, and as people have said, it is 6 years in the making. It did not happen overnight, right? From 2016 onwards, there is this, unresolved. He was making fun out of a medical condition on his wife. Yes, there is a famous Tamil actor in Singa movies and all this. There is this black guy with bald head. Okay, even he have the same condition. So it's a medical condition of not losing all the facial hair. So it's not anybody's choice, right, to lose all the facial hair. But again, Will Smith could have probably, complained to him or verbally getting some spat with him that, why are you taking this medical condition and all those things. But putting someone on a public stage is a bit of a stretch. And again, there are people who valorize such stuff after seeing Bahubali. Right, instant justice. And again, that tells, it does not reflect on one incident, right? We are used to such kind of jokes. Whenever we see throughout the world, whenever we see these celebrities meeting in one place, they will always have a personal jokes. I mean, it's not like they will have a healthy comedy. They will always be personal attack. So it has been normalized in the celebrity world. Probably that is also a problem. See, Chris Rock probably thought, it's okay for me to cross that line. And that ecosystem created an atmosphere for him to think that it's okay to cross that line. So it's problem of everybody who is involved, right? Not only that particular individual. And we don't know how many jokes Will Smith have laughed on while others were being made fun of. Right? So that is also one line of thought. So if you didn't laugh in the entire show when others were being made fun out of, you had all the moral authority in the world to beat him. But you laughed on others when it came to your own family, you got angry, then you are the best hypocrite. Clear?
Similar way, we talk about ethics. We were discussing coral bleaching. Even when we were reading or when we were talking about coral bleaching or any other environmental effects in class, we often tend to talk about economic aspects, economic implications. How even that point of time, even when we talk about that something lies under the water, still we say this is the value that fetches. That is why it is important. Can't we say it like selflessly, not really expecting, not really taking an economic value out of it? Yes, it is there. That is the reason, protecting it for the sake of protecting it, rather than yes, because it offers so much of $1 million of help to us. Without this, we have to spend millions of dollars. That is why at least we have to help. Isn't
so? The basic argument is very understood, appreciated. In 1960s, 1970s onwards, people are saying that climate change is happening. Okay, for a normal person, for a lay person, anywhere in the planet, if I go and tell him, coral reefs are a beauty. Coral reefs are a pure joy to watch it. Okay, they're the nature's biggest asset. Okay, don't destroy them. For that person, he may or may not understand it. Even if he understands it, he may ignore it as quickly as possible. Like before coffee, after coffee, everything is gone. Okay. But the moment I add some monetary value, at least it might incentivize the policy makers. Okay, because of coral reefs in Australia is making 40,000 crores. If there are no coral reefs, Australia will lose 40,000 crores. Then at least it's an incentive for the ministers in Australia to take coral reefs seriously. That is why people add monetary terms. But the basic argument is nature. Nature should be protected for nature's sake. Okay. See, if you don't understand how dodo was eliminated and how it has impacted the entire ecosystem, even after knowing that, okay, if you are still willing to destroy the planet, not even God can save us. Right? So all these are last ditch efforts where people are throwing money or monetary valuations to the ecosystems, so that at least then people might realize. If I just say, let the honeybees live, okay, nobody will understand. But if I say, 500 billion into 7,000 crores, what is that? 500 into 7,000. 35 lakh crores or 3,50,000 crores. That is the amount. In a Hindu front page, if I put 35 lakh crores with all the zeros, huge amount of zeros. This is the amount of money we will lose because of if we don't have honeybees. Then probably people will start noticing. If I go and say let the honeybee live. doesn't add any value, right? People still don't understand the correlation between nature and our life. We still think, we are the masters of the universe. We can overcome any kind of problem, right? So that is why the uber rich are talking about terraforming. Yes or no? They have a choice to escape the planet, but the rest of us don't. Okay, so that is also an ethical perspective. Yes.
It's
Okay.
more like adding Dalit girl raped by a Thakur.
Yeah, exactly.